good afternoon. Kumustahin lang namin po yung participation niyo dun sa ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit at saka ano po yung mga pinush yung mga advocacies natin.
Well, siyempre, number one, lahat nag-express ng sympathy nila dahil sa pagdani hagupit, no? And when you say lahat, talagang lahat. So talagang na-overwhelm ka naman. Klarong-klaro sa kanila yung effects ng global climate change sa atin. So, isa sa pangunahin natin, lalo din sa yung second meeting, was to stress everybody doing everything that they can now instead of waiting, di ba, parang to perfect the equal responsibility measures that are still forthcoming. Kunyari, next year do sa COP21. Tapos, marami rin yung mga details, papabigay ko lang sa inyo. Pero basically, nag-offer ang Korea a lot of their assistance towards in disaster risk reduction and management. So, pinakita sa atin yan. Kanina, meron rin pinakita ng kanilang governance, no? From yung, may tinawag sila doon sa passport na talagang mabilisan ang pagkuha ng passport, yung mga alerts, yung when you deal with government, e-government na talaga as much as possible. You're not required to go to various offices. Tapos yung data, etc. Marami tayong nakita rin kanina at napulot. At saka yung tinutulungan. In the Philippines, for instance, they're also helping us amongst other things, yung pag-retain ng ating forests. So that's also another priority. Maganda yung bilateral natin with both Malaysia and Korea. But sa Korea in particular, bibigyan tayo ng, ito naiipit na naman ako dahil ilalagay ko sana sa arrival statement ko mamaya. Pero, dito ba yan? Cesar, it's, Sir, again, correct me if I'm wrong, may new loan of 500 million, no?
Yes, sir. A new loan framework agreement.
Okay. Tapos may grants of 5 and 20.
$5 and $20 million, sir.
May grants. And then, siyempre, yung FA-50 na dadalawin natin pagdating sa airport and other means of whereby they continue to support us. It's a whole range of topics. Anything else with regards to
Yung sa bilateral, yung in the works pa yung bilateral agreement on promoting education.
daming topics sa totoo lang, tatlong pahin ng legal size. That is, I think, being worked upon, but I'm not sure if I was able to touch upon it yesterday sa daming anong topics na pinag-usapan. But that is already being handled, no? And of course, you will follow up also yung the offer of a strategic alliance or strategic partnership.
So yung sa bilaterals niya with Malaysia.
Again, ang hesitancy ko doon, nag-usap kami, in-address the common concerns from yung kidnapping of their citizens. Pwede bang, sabi ko sa'yo, pinag-usapan namin yung kay Amalillo.
Sige, sir.
And there was a very good response from Prime Minister Najib. Pero pwede bang hindi ko na muna sabihin yung details? At maniwala lang ako doon sa baka mausog pa yung nice development. Well, basically, yun ang two major topics namin. At pareho kami minamalat kahapon na sabay. Okay.
Sige, sir. Thank you.
TV5. Yung binanggit nyo po kanina na ngayon everybody's doing everything bago pa dumating yung bagyo. But, I mean, everybody, yung LGUs, all the government agencies, we prepared for Typhoon Ruby. But still, even if it wasn't as devastating as we feared it would be, 19 lives were lost. What do you think, sir, yung saan po tayo medyo nagkulang? Bakit hindi natin na-attain yung zero casualty target natin?
I can't talk about specifics about Ruby, no? Kasi alam ko may couple na baksakan ng puno ng nyog. Hindi ako clear saan ba yung pwesto ng nyog na bumaksak sa kanila. But in previous, lalo ng earlier storms that visited us, there were some casualties who, how should I put it, medyo hindi sineryoso yung warnings. Gugulat kayo, nangingisda raw habang bubulusok yung ilog. Nadulas, nahulog, nalunod doon. Nung nag-umpisa ako, I'll like to refer to one of the earlier SONA speeches, yung ating rescue personnel having to go back to communities 3 to 5 times just to convince the people to leave. No? Work in progress pa rin yung ating mga geohazard maps. No? Kung alam mo na may danger dyan, may capacity na ba tayo to move communities away from the danger areas, no? Yung, if you listen to the NDRRMC meeting I had before Ruby struck, so meron kang threat from storm surges, meron kang threat from rain causing floods headed out to the sea. Tinanong ko na rin pag nagsabay yung high tide at saka yung pagbaba from the mountainside to the sea. Magbabago yung picture ng alimbang may hazard. Pag sinabayan pa ng landslide, pwede ba i-factor in yan? So, I think I was talking to the executive secretary the other day. Sabi niya, pag kinumbine, in-overlay mo lahat ng dangers na yun, baka in the immediate vicinity, walang safe area in that particular place, no? So, again, you're mapping out how to reduce the risk and how to actually situate all of these communities where there is minimal or no risk. Pero compare it nga na yung may casualties, di ba? True. Malungkot, meron pa tayo, hindi natin attain yung zero. Pero compared to Yolanda, and it's several thousands, no? Medyo dito, I think medyo may significance na yung cooperation between the government, the citizenry, the private sector. But of course, as you all know naman, I'm never satisfied. Ganun, no? I will be asking, what more can we do to prevent such?
Sir, follow-up lang, do you have plans to visit the areas affected by the typhoon? And do we still have enough left sa ating calamity fund? Considering marami na rin po yung nagdaan pa.
Julia, do you have the number? And yung calamity? Well, basically, I don't have my phone. Nando sa phone ko lahat ng data. But there were several billion still ready that can be tapped for this year, no? On top of that, we are expecting the approval of the budget for 2015, and the needs can also be further attended to once the new budget is also approved. So, Secretary Abad has not forewarned me that there is a problem with regards to availability funds currently. Of course, yung assessment, no, parang major dito sinasabi sa akin, yung mga houses or housing assistance na gagawin natin for those affected by Ruby. So this will be some cash subsidy. In the proposals between 10 to 30,000 dependent on the extent of damage. So, and again, I have to emphasize at this point in time, Secretary Abad does not warn me that there is a shortage of funds. So, the assumption is, his message to me before the NDRMC meeting was that we had adequate funds and that there are new funds going to be made available as soon as the 2015 budget is signed into law. So, I think we don't have any fears regarding funding for assistance for Ruby. The numbers shown to me, affected families, for instance, were close to 700,000. Yung actually umabot sa mga evacuation centers was 570,000. Meron nag-evacuate, tapos right after 2 months, saka balik na sa bahay, hindi na hinintay yung assistance dito sa evacuation centers. So, baka iba natin ng mga typhoon sa medyo hindi ganun katinding epekto, baka by that time na dadalaw tayo, nag-uwian na lahat. So, if at all, yung mga walang major infrastructure na nasira rin eh. So, hindi na natin bibisitahin. Ito yung mga houses in particular, tsaka yung livelihood, ang pagtutunan natin ng pansin.
Copy ng message. 2014, and then the next one is 2015.
Okay. I think I shared this with you before, no? There is a balance of the 2014 NDRRM fund amounting to 2.61 billion. There is a balance for the quick reaction funds amounting to 4.69 billion. So if you add the two, 0, 1, 3, 1, mga 7.3. At sana hindi ako nagkamali sa aking math. 7.3 B. Available for 2014. Now in the 2015 GAA or the proposed budget, we're asking for a 2 billion contingent fund, 13 billion NDRRM fund, and a QRF of, ito susuko na ako dito, medyo mahaba-habang list na hindi tinotal 1.8, 2.1, 2.9, 3.9, 4.9, 5.9, mga 6.4 billion. At palagay ko nagkamali ako ng konti dyan. Listahan na break. Gusto mo niya breakdown? Imbis na yung total. Ang dami nilang accountant. Sana tinotal naman yan. Eh, baka mamaya may magsabi pa, nagsinungaling kayo. Sumobra kayo ng 200 million. Sabi ko, paspasan to. Wala namang calculator dala eh.
Mr. President, you'll visit the FA-50s later. Can we know the exact status at yung delivery po ng dalawang initial jets?
By next year, yung tanda ko sa delivery ng jets, no? We're getting 12 of them. It will be finished by 2017. Okay. Okay. Ang projected schedule is December of next year for the first two.
December of
Next year. Tama ba yun? Ang tanda ko next year, pero December. I assume in December is mangyari na mangyari, December. Meron dalawa. Pero ibig sabihin nun, pag napaaga, may kailangan akong purihin. At pag nahuli, ang laki na ng palugit nila siguro December.
So yung bibisitahin niyo po mamaya, hindi pa ho yun yung ating unit na...
Di ba?
Hindi pa po. Sample lang, parang kung...
Bago na yung mga pictures tsaka yung models eh. This is the actual plane na ipapakita.
So how will this enhance yung ating territorial defense given that we're facing yung West Philippine Sea dispute?
Well, kunyari, no, you wanna check on something. This is a jet. It gets there quick. Currently, we have very ancient planes like the Nomad. No, at ano pa isa, Islander yata pangalan na naghahaglang ng coastline. Medyo, parang, kung tama tanda ko, it's between 4 to 8 hours Papadala mo yung tao doon, o yung aeroplano, babalik yung negative, or baka yung card, at para ma-print mo is another X amount of time. So nagtanong ka, by the quickest yata mga 9 hours. Round trip, kung malayo-layo. Ito, kaagad, nandun na. Pero more than anything, no, yung, if you remember, nung binibili natin to, the last time kasi we had fighters in the inventory that flew was 2005. So by next year, isang dekada na dumaan. Oh, hindi naman ganun kadaling, di ba, hindi naman porkit piloto ka, pwede ka ng fighter pilot. O yung mekaniko nito mga fighters na to, yung command and control structure, pwede ka namang, di ba, tabletop na exercise. Nagpapanggap kayo. Pero iba pa rin yung, di ba, yung radar nyo, nasasanay paano mag-plot nito, yung air controllers, kung paano i-guide, lahat nun. Pwede mawala na yung abilidad natin nun So, ang purpose ito mga planes na to is to retain those abilities. And also, this is the tawag na lead-in. Para ito yung trainers for that whole concept of having fighters. So how will it enhance? Siguro, para clear naman yata yan. 0 to 12. No? Ngayon wala. By 2017, may 12 tayo.
Isa na lang, Mr. President, about the topic. Sorry. Meron pong reports na yung allegedly po, may mga foreign reports na nagsabing China daw po is trying to stop the sale. Have you heard of those reports and what can you say to
I
those?
think I read it in our media. No, na may protest. And Korea actually responded. No, na, I'm sorry, I don't remember the response. So, but in the end of the day, there is a transaction between two allies and shouldn't be objected to. I might be paraphrasing. Pero they didn't agree to the request to stop the sale.
Pero confirm po ba yun?
Well, that was several months ago. I'll have to Google search the particular story. But I assume that there is such pressure. No?
There was pressure by China po.
Again, operative word is I assume. Yeah? Hindi naman dinaan sa akin yung protesta nila para ibigay sa Korea. Wala akong, pag inanapan niyo akong preba, anong preba natin dito. I will have to go back to what I read in the papers and what was told to me by Intel reports.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Sir, Jeff Canoy po from ABS-CBN. Sir, just wanted to get your reaction on the suspension of PNP Chief, Director General Purisima, and if it had any impact on your trust with the PNP Chief.
Well, I had parang, what natawag natin, brief, no? It's a 3-page briefer on what the specifics of the case are. And medyo nag-aalangan lang ako sumagot dito kasi I'm sure somebody will say I'm favoring Director General Purisima or I've lost trust in Director General Purisima. Bottom line is, may utos yung ombudsman, no? He is he will have to undergo the processes and one of them is this preventive suspension And the other aspect naman is, like any other citizen, he has the right to defend himself. So, we will follow all of the processes and all the procedures mandated by law, number one. Number two, we also have to want to recognize that this person has rights that should also be protected.
Sir, sa ngayon nasa White House pa rin po siya, and then there's the OIC, si General Espina, sir. Magkakaroon tingin niyo, sir, ng conflict with PNP leadership with two people leading?
No, he's not supposed to be leading. He's under suspension. It's the General Espina who should be leading.
Pero sir, the fact na nandun pa rin siya sa White House, do you think it should be advisable na
He has kept, last time I talked to him, he said he has kept himself to his quarters.
Sir, may naiisip na ba kayong kapalit, if ever, to go
Well,
beyond the OIC?
Si General Espina is also, will not be in the service that much longer, no? And General Purisima will reach 56 by 2015. So, regardless, no, parang with or without this issue, naghahanap pa rin tayo dito. Titignan natin yung track record ng all of the contenders. Tako rin alam ko kasangga ko langit.
Good afternoon, sir. First, may I get your comment on concerns of Senate President Drilon that only an OIC is heading the PNP because he compared it to a headless body because an OIC has limited powers. And there's the forthcoming visit of Pope Francis and APEC. And secondly, sir, kasi, do you think it would be practical to keep Director General Purisima on? Because his suspension will end in June if it takes place today. And he's retiring in November. So parang konti na lang yung time between that and his retirement.
Sige. Subukan ko, just try to... First, di ba, ang issue dito yung specific kaya sa tinanggal. Sana hindi natin papasukan. Pero may kinuntratang courier service. Okay? Accredited before his time as a Director General of the PNP. Actually, I read this kasi the night before we left for here. So, kailangan ko pa rin mag-reflect ng konti doon. And I was actually conferring with some of our secretaries. I'll give you a specific example. Baka I'll use myself na as an example. Part of my job is to issue proclamations, kunyari yung nagtayo ng Special Economic Zone, IT Park, etc. It becomes a very technical document. Meron tinatawag na meets and bounds. They describe yung property. So, katakot-takot na coordination. Yung pagkatakot-takot, it's not just 4 points. Minsan kalahating pahina na longitude and latitude. This line running from point ganyan to ganyan. Okay. So, one day I had to ask the executive secretary, who's a lawyer, and has been my lawyer from before. Pag merong error dito, doon sa coordinates na binigay, tsaka 1 degree na error, medyo malaki-laking lupa yun. May liability ba ako? Sagot niya sa akin, technically wala dahil you're relying on the technical services. It's not a qualification for my job to be able to know how to read transits. Yung how to actually describe parcels of land. But part of my function is to sign a document prepared by the respective agencies involved, that says such and such is reserved for IT purposes, etc., etc. So I go back here, Yung probably one of the defenses Director General Purisima will raise is yung his was a ministerial role in that iba nag-accredit Tapos yung dumating yung point na kailangan ng parang implement itong ginagawa nila, na isa sana, kaysa isa yata pagkasabi niya, kaysa isa sa listahan na nagpa-credit. So, on the surface, yung, ako ba gagawin ko yun? Pakita nga ng incorporation papers dito. Para bang, i-vet ko ulit yun supposed to be, may presumption of regularity. Balikan lang natin, ano ba yung sinusubukan niya i-solve? And this is siguro where my bias comes in, we were preparing for the 2013 elections. Major issue violence. So sinama ko na doon, pwede bang i-account natin lahat itong mga licensed firearms? Okay. Naglabas sila ng program called Oplan Katok. So lahat ng nakalisensya, may tao, may address, etc. Expired by license nyo, current pa by license nyo. Lahat ng expired, pinutahan, kaya katok. Kinatukan kung saan kung saan supposed to be nakatira, or business address. After that, we're talking about close to 600,000 firearms. 5 something, mga 580 yata. 60,000 of these firearms, spurious yung license. Wala yung tao, maling tao, wala na yung firearm, etc. etc. At nagmula naman yun, meron tayong nahuling mga foreign nationals sa Ilocos Norte yata. And they were in possession of submachine guns and pistols, several grenades, one IED device. This was last year or a year and a half ago. Fake license, para 4 license plates in their vehicle. At nung trinace yung mga firearms na yun, supposed to be may mga Pilipinong bumili. Tapos yun na nga, no? May namatay na raw, na nagbenta. Parang medyo, yun, may kasong tinatry ngayon doon nga sa probinsya sa norte. Okay. So, minandate ng PNP, ngayon, parang binigyan kayo ng taning, no? I-renew yung lisensya nyo. Pag hindi nyo na-renew, illegal possession. So, nagkaroon ng renewal. Para ma-prevent yung spurious, kailangan personal. So, myself, no, and Laila de Lima, amongst others, went through that whole process of fingerprinting. At saka hindi digital yung ginawa sa amin. Eh. Talagang tinta, talagang nagpiano. Okay. Picture taking rin. Tapos, minandate na personal appearance sa hindi na pwedeng proxy. Okay. Yung hindi na proxy, allegedly, yung mga firearms dealers, ginagawa ng service to, pinakakakitahan yung dating proxy. Sila nagpa-process. Na wala itong proxy ngayon. Okay. Tapos yung courier, I'm sure, no? I think at one point in time, Director General Police, when he was briefing me about it, he said, Sir, yung parang naging dagdag na check, una yata hindi gagawin mandatory na courier service. Pero pag nag-opt ka na i-deliver na siya after going through the process yung lisensya, may paraan na naman, another check. Totoo bang naka-reside si Juan de la Cruz sa number 42 Pedro Hill? So parang, di ba? On the surface, parang may maganda nga yan, magpatong-patong na tayo dito para wala nang loose na firearms. Okay. Ngayon, hindi natin inaalis na baka may nag-isip nga kung tama ito allegation dito, walang capitalization, walang capability, nag-arkila ng courier service, lahat na mali yun. No, paano nakalusot yan? So, nasa korte na yung prosecutor magsasabi, sino ba talaga involved? No? Sino ba nagsubok magpalusot dito? At para sa ngayon, pag titignan mo nga, nilagay ko yung sarili ko sa sitwasyon niya, lahat ba nang dadaan sa aking papeles, no? I-check ko parang nag-umpisa yung proseso. Kaya ko bang gawin yon? Yung supposed to be dumarating sa akin, brief na lang, I handle close to about 1 meter worth of paper every day. No? Yung, na 2 or 3 pages na brief. Pero maski na doon, binubusisi ko pa rin kung ano man ang dadaan sa akin. Binabalik ko pag meron akong hindi nagustuhang language or may duda ako. Pero having said that, can I guarantee, no? Lalo na yung routine, no? Na merong hindi nakalusot sa akin. No? Kasi ang dami ng dinaanan bago sa akin, may mali pa ako nakahanap eh. So, I'm trying to look at it from the overall picture, no? How do you address the systemic issues that led to 60,000 firearms being registered na questionable? No? And if you don't stop that, no, then you continue the problem. So this was among the steps that they undertook. And was it perfect? Tao hindi perfect eh. Now, did he knowingly commit, no, these grievous errors? No, ayun ang kailangan ma-prove. Now, but at the same time, having said that, the ombudsman feels, no, that he has to be preventively suspended, then he has to comply. And he has been told to do so.
May clarify ka lang. You don't think, sir, na it's a cause for concern na may maraming mangyayaring major events like the visit of Pope Francis and the PNP is headed by an OIC, not a permanent director?
Ako yung concept ng OIC kaya hindi, no? He is the head. No? At this point in time, he's supposed to run. Somebody doesn't follow him, that person gets removed. So, yung whatever we put in place should not be dependent on any one person. At klaro yun, I tell this cabinet the same thing. No? Yung there are instructions that have to be carried out. You don't carry it out, medyo you will have to answer.